Hey guys, Snoopy here. Today we're looking at the Archivist. The Archivist has two abilities. First, learned. After setup, gain 2 extra lore cards. So you draw 5, you keep 2, and then return the other 3 back to the box. And then academic. So when you're scoring Tycoon, you gain no power for second place, and you gain power for second place if you get first place, but you don't get the bonus city power like you normally do for winning first. So those two abilities make it where you're going to have a better start. Potentially, you're going to have lore cards that no one else can take from you. But the downside is a Tycoon, which may be scored a lot depending on your game. You can never get first place points. You can only get second place points even if you win it. And if you tie for first, you're going to get no points because that you get scored second place on a tie, and so you get 0 points. For resources, you get 2 relics, and then for starting position, you get a city in A and 3 ships like normal. In B, you get 3 ships, but instead of a starport, you get another city, and then in C, you get 2 ships. So slightly different than the standard setup, but pretty similar. We've seen this before with Facebringer. But yes, you have 2 cities to start. So what do we think? I think in a lot of ways, Archivist is the most blank slate leader we could talk about. So there is no way to judge, is Archivist on its own terms a great or bad leader, because you're dealing with the unknown. What are the 2 lore cards you're picking? So if you're a beginner or a newer Arcs player, Archivist may not be the best leader. You could pick 2 great lore cards, but if you have 5 options and 3 of them are bad, 2 of them are great, do you know which are which? Do you know which are going to pair well with the 1 lore card or 2 lore cards that you already drafted? So yeah, there is a learning curve to playing the Archivist well just in setup. But if you are experienced or you're a veteran Arcs player, then Archivist is a temptation because you know that those lore cards can never be taken away. And some of them are very overpowered. And so there's a chance that 1 of the 5 or even 2 of the 5 are one of the or some of those cards. So there's that temptation. But if I'm looking at the draft, I'm playing in a game with, let's say, 3 players. So it's 4 leaders, 4 lore cards I'm looking at, and none of the lore cards are great. I'm definitely picking Archivist. However, if 1 or 2 of those lore cards are really good, then my chance of getting an awesome lore card in one of those 5 is diminished. So this is where it just depends on what everyone else is drafting, what everyone else is taking. So I probably would not first pick Archivist. I would probably first pick the best lore card, and if I also got Archivist, then great. So talking about the lore cards, with these videos, we're mostly just focusing on 3. And so there's a lot of talk, and you can look at a video I did on a tier list of lore cards. But let's focus on just 3 here. So first, and this is not maybe as intuitive, but because you start with 2 cities, and depending on where those cities are on the planet spaces, you may not have a spot to build a starport. So if you can get Tool Priest, whether in the draft or in the learned setup phase where you're picking 2 lore cards from 5, if you can get that, then you can pivot at times to a city strategy where you can build ships at your cities. Now, it's only once per turn as a build action, but it says here you can even do this on rival cities you control, and that can be useful at times too. So you can be aggressive, you can be invasive, or you can just stay close to home and just focus on building out your cities and winning 1 or 2 ambitions, but getting the city bonuses because you already start with 2 cities built out of your 5. Now, the downside for Archivist is academic, and so one of the strategies that people will see when they play Arcs is that you look at your opposing leaders and see what leader your rival has, what's the downside. If they have this, then let's just score Tycoon. So even if you're winning, if they always declare Tycoon, then they can slow you down quite a bit. So even if you're winning, you're only getting second place points and you don't get bonus city points. So one way to mitigate that is by having these 2 lore cards, so either 1 or both. And so Tycoon's Ambition, which is a prelude ability. So while Tycoon is declared, before taking any other actions, you may discard all your material and fuel to declare exactly one undeclared ambition. Do not place a 0 marker. So this is going to be very helpful if the table is teaming up against you trying to declare Tycoon. You can declare another ambition. And so you can subvert that. So if they declare Tycoon, you then can, in your prelude, declare any ambition you want by just discarding your material and fuel. So that is a very, very powerful ability that can subvert whatever table talk is going against you. Tycoon's Charm says, in a prelude, while Tycoon is declared, you may discard any number of material and fuel to gain 1 resource for each. So you can try to declare something else and then pivot to a psionic or relic, or even get weapons if you're trying to go for a warlord. And then also this prelude lets you discard it to clear your material and your fuel outrage. This is one of the few lore cards that does 2 outrage slots by discarding it, which is really big. So it lets you be more aggressive in the beginning, and then you can get rid of the outrage if you need to. But I would say these 2 are really good just to protect yourself, that if you go for early lead, the table works against you, you can pivot or use that strategy against them, because if they're declaring Tycoon to slow you down, you can then declare something else, or you can discard your material and fuel to get different resources that are more useful. Now, there's plenty of other lore cards and combinations to talk about, but for just this video, I'm just going to focus on those 3. What about guild cards? So guild cards, we have 4 here. The reason we have 4 is just because material cartel and fuel cartel are pretty similar here. But again, if your downside is if Tycoon is declared, you're not going to get maximum points. You want to find ways to dissuade people from declaring it in the first place. So one of the best tools for that is just to be winning it. So if you're going to win material cartel, if you're going to win with material cartel and fuel cartel, or just one of them, then no one would want to declare it because they wouldn't get any points, or they would just get second place points. And so that's one strategy you can go for, is just get the material cartel and fuel cartel so that the supply is on the card. You can discard it to steal material if needed. But that's what I would think about, is what cards can I take from the court that would dissuade people from even declaring this ambition that I really don't want declared. We start with 2 relics, and that's unique. There's no other leader that starts with 2 relics to start. And so you can just pivot to just a relic strategy where you don't really use your relics, but use them just to score points. And so you can use something like Relic Fence, where you can discard a resource to gain more relics. You're starting off with 2 cities built, so you're going to have more slots open than other players. So you have that 4th slot for a resource. And then Galactic Bards is mentioned here, not so much for the relic icon as much as being able to declare another ambition. So if you don't get one of those Tycoon lore cards and they're declaring Tycoon, you want the ability to declare something else quickly. And this is where Galactic Bards can help. By surpassing or pivoting, you can declare another ambition. And so that it allows you to focus on your own strategy, build out your cities, and then still be okay to declare an ambition you need to in those later chapters. Okay, so in total, I would say Archivist has the potential to be a very high tier leader if you can get excellent lore cards. However, that's not guaranteed. And so the good news is that academic as a downside isn't the worst. And so it can be punishing if the table is working against you to always declare Tycoon in chapter 4, chapter 5. But even then, you can still work around that. You can still get points if you are dominating the material and the fuel resources and the guild cards. So overall, I would say Archivist is a B leader, and the more experienced you get, it can definitely be an A tier leader. There's certain situations where, wow, you just got super lucky with the lore cards and you drafted really well, and so you're just going to have an S tier leader out of the box. But more often than not, it's just an average leader with not a lot of downside, and it's just fun. It's fun to look at extra lore cards. So that's what I got for Archivist. If you have some more cards in mind that you are really looking for when you get the Archivist, let me know in the comments. Thanks.